A woman in northern New Mexico spent her whole life as a devout Catholic. She went to Mass. She raised her children in the church. But every Friday evening, just before sunset, she did something she could never explain. She lit 2 candles, set them in an interior room where no neighbor could see, and felt, without knowing why, that the day that followed was different from all the others. She thought it was just a family habit, a quirk passed down from her mother, and her mother before her. It was only when her grandson took a DNA test, decades later, that the whole thing finally made sense. The candles were Sabbath candles. Her family had been Jewish secretly, silently, for nearly 500 years, ever since their ancestors were forced to convert during the Spanish Inquisition and buried their identity to survive. She had been keeping a Jewish tradition her entire life and never knew it. And here is the unsettling part. Stories like hers are not rare. They are scattered across millions of families today in the American Southwest, across Latin America, throughout the Mediterranean, and beyond. Families carrying small, unexplained customs that are not quirks at all. They are fingerprints, the surviving traces of a hidden Jewish past. Today I am going to walk you through 9 of those signs. As we go, count how many describe your family. Before we start, one honest word, because it matters, and because this channel does not deal in fairy tales. Not one of these signs, on its own, proves anything. Customs travel. Coincidences happen. Plenty of families avoid pork or cover mirrors for reasons that have nothing to do with Judaism. But here is what researchers who study this have learned. These signs rarely appear alone. They cluster. And when several show up together in one family, a custom, a name, a tradition nobody could ever explain, they stop being coincidence and start being a pattern. A pattern that points back to 1492, when hundreds of thousands of Jews were forced to choose between exile, death, or a mask. Many chose the mask, and some of their descendants are watching right now, with no idea what they inherited. If by the end you suspect you might be one of them, we built something to help you find out for certain, a discovery kit called Your Jewish Roots, with a companion surname database, linked in the description and the pinned comment. Keep it in mind as we go. So let us find out. Keep count. Sign number 1. Friday night candles nobody could explain. This is the most documented sign of them all. In families with hidden Jewish roots, there is often a grandmother or great-grandmother who lit candles on Friday evening, not for any saint, not for any Catholic feast, but simply because it was done. Often the candles were lit in a back room, a closet, a cellar, somewhere out of sight. Sometimes the family could not tell you why. It was just tradition. But Friday at sunset is precisely when the Jewish Sabbath begins, and lighting 2 candles to welcome it is one of the oldest and most central rituals in all of Judaism. When secret Jews were forced to hide their faith, the public synagogue vanished. The Hebrew books were burned. The open prayer became impossible, but a woman could still quietly light 2 candles in her own home, where no inquisitor would see. That single act was small enough to survive 5 centuries of hiding. So if your family has a memory of candles lit on Friday evenings, set apart from the rest of the week, with no explanation anyone could ever give, pay attention. That may be the brightest thread of all. Sign number 2. Mirrors covered when someone dies. Here is a custom that families across Latin America and the American Southwest have practiced for generations, often with no idea where it came from. When someone in the family dies, the mirrors in the house are covered with cloth, with sheets, turned to the wall. Many Catholic families who do this simply say it is out of respect, or that it is what their grandparents always did. But covering mirrors in a house of mourning is not a Catholic practice. It is a specifically Jewish one. In Judaism, during the 7 days of mourning known as Shiva, mirrors in the mourner's home are covered, for reasons rooted in turning away from vanity and focusing on grief and the soul. This is one of the clearest crypto-Jewish signs, precisely because it is so specific and so un-Catholic. There is no Christian reason to do it. If your family covers mirrors after a death and has never been able to tell you why, you have found a custom that walked straight out of a Jewish house of mourning and into yours. Sign number 3. A strange reluctance around pork. Across the Hispanic world, across the Mediterranean, in family after family, with no known Jewish connection, there is a quiet, unexplained aversion to pork. Sometimes it is total avoidance. Sometimes it is just a grandmother who would not cook it, or a feeling in the family that it was somehow unclean, somehow not for them even as the entire culture around them celebrated it. The dietary laws of Judaism, the laws of kashrut, forbid pork above almost all else. It is the single most recognizable Jewish food restriction in the world. For a hidden Jewish family, surrounded by a pork-eating Catholic society, avoiding it was dangerous, because it was the most visible giveaway of all. And yet many families could not bring themselves to abandon it. The discomfort survived, even when the reason was forgotten, passed down as a vague family preference that was, in truth, a 3,000-year-old law. If any of these first 3 signs is already describing your family, I want you to do something before we go further. The whole reason this channel exists is to help people turn exactly these clues into real answers. And we built a complete tool to do it, a discovery kit called Your Jewish Roots, that walks you step by step from a single unexplained custom to a documented family history, along with a companion database of hundreds of Jewish surnames you can check your own name against. If these signs are landing a little too close to home, that kit is your next step. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Now let us keep counting. Sign number 4. Sweeping the floor toward the center of the room. This one is so specific that when researchers hear it, they sit up. In a number of crypto-Jewish families, there was an unusual way of sweeping the floor, not toward the door and out, the way nearly everyone sweeps, but inward, toward the center of the room. The dust was gathered in the middle and lifted out, never swept across the threshold. Why? Because in many of these households, a small object had once been fixed to the doorframe, a mezuzah, the small case containing a Hebrew scripture that Jewish families traditionally affixed to their doorposts. To sweep dust across the threshold was to sweep it past that sacred spot. Long after the mezuzah itself was gone, long after anyone remembered what it had been, the sweeping habit remained a physical echo of a holy object that had hung on the door generations ago. If your family swept inward, and you always thought it was just a strange household quirk, it may be one of the most precise fingerprints on this entire list. Sign number 5. Burial with unusual speed and without the church's usual rites. In Jewish tradition, the dead are buried quickly, ideally within 24 hours, in a plain manner, with the body treated according to specific customs and laid to rest in the earth without delay. This stands in real contrast to the elaborate Catholic funeral traditions of wakes, viewings, and longer waits. In families with hidden Jewish roots, there is sometimes a documented insistence on burying loved ones fast, simply, and in a particular way, washing the body themselves, sitting on low stools afterward, observing a period of mourning that lasts 7 days, and then, in a more muted form, a full year. These mourning patterns line up precisely with Jewish practice Shiva, the 7 days, and the year of mourning, and they appear in crypto-Jewish families, who could not have told you they were doing anything but honoring their own. If your family's way of grieving never quite matched the church around them, that mismatch may be the memory of a much older tradition. Sign number 6. A surname ending in "ez", or one that turns up on the lists. Names are one of the strongest threads of all, and there are 2 patterns worth knowing. The first, a great many Spanish surnames ending in "ez", the patronymic suffix meaning son of, are heavily associated with families from the Iberian Peninsula, where conversion was widespread. And these names appear constantly in the records of the Conversos. The second and stronger pattern is carrying a surname that turns up directly on the documented Sephardic and Converso lists names recorded in Inquisition trials, in synagogue registries, in the official surname lists Spain and Portugal still use today to grant citizenship to the descendants of the Jews they expelled. If you have ever wondered about your last name, this is the most checkable sign on the entire list, because unlike a memory or a custom, a name can be looked up. And that is exactly why, alongside the Discovery Kit I mentioned, we built a companion database of hundreds of these documented surnames, organized so you can find yours and see what it reveals. If your name has ever felt like a question, the link in the description and the pinned comment is where you go to answer it. Sign number 7. Biblical first names and a particular way of choosing them. Look back through your family tree and notice the first names. Crypto-Jewish families often favored names drawn straight from the Hebrew Bible, not the New Testament saints. But the older figures, Abraham, Isaac, Sarah, Rebecca, Esther, Solomon, David, Ruth, the name Esther carried special weight, because the biblical Esther herself hid her Jewish identity inside a foreign court, a story that resonated powerfully with families doing exactly the same thing. There is also a telling pattern in how names were passed down. Sephardic Jewish families traditionally name children after living grandparents, the firstborn, after a grandfather or grandmother, a practice that differs from the typical Catholic custom of naming after saints. When a family tree is full of Old Testament names, recycled across generations after living elders, rather than after saints, you are looking at a naming pattern that quietly preserved a Jewish tradition in plain sight. Sign number 8. Old words that were not quite Spanish. Language hides things beautifully. In some families descended from Sephardic Jews, fragments of an old language survived in the home words and phrases that were not standard Spanish, that the family used without ever questioning them. This is Ladino, also called Judeo-Spanish, the language Sephardic Jews carried out of medieval Spain, a blend of Old Castilian Spanish and Hebrew, preserved for centuries in Jewish communities across the Mediterranean. A stray blessing, a lullaby, a saying a grandmother used that nobody else in town seemed to know, these can be the linguistic residue of a Jewish past. If your family carried words that the neighbors did not use, expressions that felt older and stranger than ordinary Spanish, those words may have walked out of a Jewish quarter in 15th century Spain and survived, unrecognized, in your grandmother's kitchen. Sign number 9. A family story that never quite added up. The final sign is the quietest, and for many people it is the one that started everything. It is the feeling, the story that never fit. A relative who, on their deathbed, said something strange, "We are not what people think," or simply, "We are Jews," and then was gone before anyone could ask what it meant. A family that always held itself a little apart, a tradition of marrying within a small circle of known families. A grandmother who lit candles, covered mirrors, whispered prayers and words you did not recognize, and took the reason with her. These deathbed confessions are documented again and again in crypto-Jewish families, the moment an elder finally passed on a secret that had been guarded for so many generations that it had nearly dissolved into silence. If your family has a story like that, a loose thread, a thing that was never explained, a sense that the official version was missing something, that feeling is worth taking seriously. It is, very often, where the whole journey begins. So those are the 9 signs: candles, mirrors, pork, sweeping inward, swift burial, the names on the lists, the biblical first names, the old words, and the story that never added up. How many described your family? Tell me the number in the comments, and tell me which one hit hardest, because I read those. And the stories people share are extraordinary. And here is the honest truth I promised you at the start. A single sign proves nothing, but a cluster of them, sitting together in one family, is exactly the pattern that has led thousands of people to discover a hidden Jewish heritage they never knew they carried. A sign is a thread, not a verdict. The real answer lives in the records, the names, and the DNA, and pulling those threads together is precisely what we built your Jewish roots to help you do. It takes you from "I always wondered about that candle" to a documented family history, step by step, with the companion surname database to check your own name along the way. If more than one of these signs described your family, this is your next move. Check the link in the description and the pinned comment, and start tracing your story today. If these are the kinds of histories that keep you up at night wondering about your own family, consider subscribing, but more than anything, follow that link and go find your answer. That is the real reason we made this. Thank you for watching. Until next time, every people has a story they were never told. Maybe it is finally time you found yours.